What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. Today we've got another live fantasy football mock draft for you back on FantasyPros with a 10-team full PPR mock where we'll be selecting 10th overall. The final pick should be really interesting. Our roster, 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, a flex, and then 5 bench spots. But that's pretty much it, so let's get into it. And while we wait for it to load, a quick reminder, if you enjoy, hit that like button, subscribe, give us a follow on Twitter at AllDayPigskin to continue interacting with us there. Let us hear it in the comment section. Agree, disagree, along with any other questions you guys might have. We'll do our best to answer them all. But with that being said, let's take a look at what we've got here. We are picking 10th overall in a 10-team league, full PPR, and this is the draft so far. Christian McCaffrey first overall makes sense. CeeDee Lamb going 102. That extension was never going to be something that held up CeeDee Lamb this year. Tyreek Hill at the 103, Jamar Chase at the 104, then Breece Hall at the 105 seems like a good value. JJ at 106, followed by Amon-Ra. I'd have those guys flip personally. Bijan at 108 is a tremendous value. AJ Brown at the 109, and then we are here at 110. So here it doesn't really matter what order we do this in, right? What I do want to do, however, when I'm picking here at this point in time, especially actually the size of the league doesn't really matter too much, but when I have a chance to do this, I typically take full advantage of it. And what am I referring to? When I have the advantage to land one tier 1 wide receiver along with a tier 1 running back, I usually go that route. I want to have balance at those two positions. I don't want huge drop-offs. So while I could go a Garrett Wilson and maybe a Puka or a Jahmyr Gibbs and a Jonathan Taylor, I think then when I wait until the 3rd round, it's going to be a little bit of too much of a drop-off at the wide receiver position or at the running back position, whichever one I ignored. So with that being the case here, I will go a little bit more balanced. So I will be going Garrett Wilson for sure with one of my picks. And then afterwards, I just have to decide which running back I want to go with. So I know Jahmyr Gibbs is a little bit banged up right now. But, I mean, the injury itself, again, I've kind of been monitoring it. And you can see it here. It's quote-unquote trending the right way. And it's not a situation where they think Gibbs is going to miss any time. Now, some people have concerns with Gibbs because David Montgomery is there, the volume, right? I totally get it. When we're talking upside, though, in full PPR, the reason you're drafting Gibbs is because of the pass-catching ability, and he does have that. So I'm not as worried. I have Saquon Barkley, Jonathan Taylor, pretty much neck and neck with him. I'd probably be going JT ahead of Saquon Barkley the more I think about it, just because of the age, previous injuries, things like that. So here it's between JT and Jahmyr Gibbs. I'll give Jahmyr Gibbs the slight advantage because of the PPR aspect, but, it's very, very close. It's splitting hairs. So if you want to go JT, if you want to go Saquon Barkley or Gibbs, all 3 of these guys are in that next tier group of running backs. Can all finish as, borderline top 5 guys. So for that reason, you can't go wrong with any of them. I'm going to go Jahmyr Gibbs in this case. And then let's see what's left available to us in the 3rd and 4th round. That's where it's really going to get interesting, right? So we're going to look at our draft board. Holy cow, wow. Some insane values were there to be had. Now, again, I know it's a 10-team league, so they're going to be more top-heavy teams, but let's break it down. After we went Jahmyr Gibbs, it was Barkley, it was Jonathan Taylor, pretty much like how we predicted. Then Pacheco, a little bit earlier than anticipated. Debo ahead of Puka, I don't agree with that. Debo way too early just in general. Like, he should be amongst these 3rd-rounders. Puka, Devontae Adams, I'm typically staying away from Devontae. Travis Etienne, Kyren Williams. Okay, that's kind of in line with where these guys are being drafted. Marvin Harrison, the 210. Sometimes, depending on how people feel about him, he's an early 2nd-round selection, sometimes later on. I think this is probably more in line where it should be. Derrick Henry to kick off the 3rd. Then Olave, Achane, run on 3 tight ends. Laporta, Kelsey, Trey McBride. Cooper Kupp lats until the 307. Nico Collins at 308. Drake London at the 309. That was the name where I'm like, holy cow, he almost made it back to us. That's insane. And I would have scooped him up in an absolute second. Now, notice no quarterbacks have gone off the board yet. I'm not going to be the first one to kick that off. I always say that, okay, if you want to draft a tier 1 quarterback, go ahead. Obviously, I can't convince you otherwise, but just don't be the first one to pull the trigger on them, because you're going to be able to get a little bit better value if you're the last one to get that guy. So here, the way I'm leaning is just going best player available. I'm looking at the running backs. We've still got some really, really solid running back choices, but Jalen Waddle was pretty tempting over there. So I think I'm leaning probably Josh Jacobs and Jalen Waddle. Jacobs with Dylan going on IR and just banged up. He's going to get a lot of touches in Green Bay, a lot of opportunity, good offense. So he's kind of going up a little bit in rankings. I also really like James Cook. So those are the top 2 choices for me. I mean, I could go both Josh Jacobs and James Cook. It would allow for that, but let's again try and treat this in a somewhat balanced type of situation. I'm going to go Jalen Waddle, then I will be going Josh Jacobs, and see if we regret not going Josh Jacobs and James Cook. It's all possible. Now we pull up the draft board here, and again, let's see what took place afterwards. So we went Josh Jacobs and Jalen Waddle, then it was Josh Allen. James Cook, pretty close right afterwards, the 403. Devonta Smith, Rachaad White. Mahomes at the 406. Pittman, Kamara, Joe Mixon, Brennan Ayuk, Mike Evans at the 501. See, and this is what I mean. Jalen Hurts goes a full round after Josh Allen. I just think that's a better value. DK Metcalf, Kenneth Walker, Diggs, Malik Neighbors, Kyler Murray, Lamar, and DJ Moore. If DJ Moore was there for me at that point in time, I'd probably be pulling the trigger. I'm not going to lie to you. But here, I have one pretty easy choice in mind. This is a 10-team league, so the positional advantages do mean a little bit more here. And I'm looking at our roster. Let's just kind of pull it up as a reminder. We've already got Gibbs, so we've got an upper echelon running back. We've got Garrett Wilson, upper echelon wide receiver. Feel pretty good about our number 2 and number 2 running back, number 2 wide receiver. I really like the way these first 4 picks have gone. Here, I'm going to go Dalton Kincaid. I'm high on Dalton Kincaid at the tight end position. I want to get that positional advantage. I know he's not going to be there if I wait if I wait 20 more picks, because we have back-to-back picks, right? So we land Dalton Kincaid, wide receiver. I could go Amari Cooper. I like Terry McLaurin. Running backs, I don't love James Conner. I don't love Aaron Jones. I'm not going to force it right now. Quarterback, we could go with an Anthony Richardson or a CJ Stroud. I personally would be going CJ Stroud over Anthony Richardson. I don't trust the passing of Anthony Richardson. If you're that high on him just because of the rushing ability, just draft Jaden Daniels. That's what I would say. But CJ Stroud here is pretty tempting. However, I want to get another flex player. And I'm looking at Higgins. I'm looking at McLaurin. It's between those guys. Also, I mean, George Pickens, Christian Kirk are also in that conversation. I think I'm going to go with Terry McLaurin here. Number 1 for Washington, quarterback upgrade. But again, it's really close between all those guys that I mentioned. So we're grabbing Terry McLaurin here. Let's see what happens afterwards. Let's see if we made the right choices. Let's see if we get burned, any of that. So after we went Terry and Dalton Kincaid, you see tight end immediately. Mark Andrews, Cooper, Javonte Williams, way too early for him. Anthony Richardson, James Conner, Dak Prescott, then CJ Stroud, Zay Flowers, George Kittle, Monty, Aaron Jones, George Pickens, Ramondre, T. Higgins, goes to 705. Pretty good value in my opinion. Tyjae Spears, Chris Godwin, Tank Dell, DeAndre Swift. So notice we still have a quarterback here available to us in Joe Burrow. I think a decent value. Now, would I have preferred to pair him up with T. Higgins? Yeah, obviously, but it didn't quite work out that way. Here, I think that Christian Kirk's a good value. I know he's a little bit banged up, calf injury, but again, not expected to be too serious. I also like Deontay Johnson. If we're talking running backs, I think Jonathan Brooks is a good investment down the line for somebody that has built out a roster in the appropriate way. I'm going to wait on Jonathan Brooks. I'm not going to force it right now. I'm going to go with Christian Kirk. as one of my picks. And honestly, I think I might load up on some other wide receivers as well. I know that, look, I know Joe Burrow is tempting here, but I want to get some depth at wide receiver. I'm going to go with probably, I'm trying to decide between Rashee Rice and Deontay Johnson. Rice has more competition. Marquise Brown is banged up. I'm going to go with Deontay Johnson. I'm a believer in Deontay Johnson. Let's see if Jonathan Brooks is still there after the fact. Oh, no, okay, he was picked shortly thereafter, which, all right, whatever, it is what it is. I'm not really all that worried about it. Like I said, I like how our roster is looking. So we got some really good values at wide receivers here the last couple of picks, by the way. McLaurin, Kirk, Deontay. So Najee Harris, Rashee Rice, Calvin Ridley afterwards. There goes Jonathan Brooks, Amir White, Jalen Warren, Keenan Allen, Jaden Reed, Raheem. Joe Burrow at the 901, tremendous value. Evan Ingram, Kyle Pitts, those other remaining tight ends. Just a tight end run in general here. Singletary, Tony Pollard, Nick Chubb, Njoku, Jake Ferguson, Zach Moss. So here, I think one of our picks will be Jerome Ford. Chubb is starting on the PUP, so, that's a solid start of the season pick. You could also say the same for Chuba Hubbard. I'm going to go with Jerome Ford, and then I'm going to go with Brian Robinson. I think Brian Robinson also another solid choice, obviously starting there in Washington. I don't need to start Terry McLaurin, by the way, right? Like, I can start another one of those wide receivers, so we have options. We don't have to be too Washington-heavy offensively. Now, here, let's see what we're doing at quarterback. Jordan Love, not bad as a potential option. And then we're going to make one last selection. Let's see if there's anything. Ooh, Ladd McConkey at this point in time is pretty solid. Let's see if there's anything else here that I really, really like. Chuba Hubbard's gone. I think Ladd McConkey and quarterback is the way I'm going to finish this thing off. So I'll go Jordan Love as one of our quarterbacks. And again, we're only continuing this through a certain amount of rounds, but we could absolutely snag another veteran quarterback here. But now here, I'm going to select another wide receiver, high upside rookie in Ladd McConkey. And then let's see what our draft grade is. But I actually really, really like this squad. One of my favorite 10-team drafts that we've done. And at a really good spot. This is why I really like that 10-team C+. I mean, go screw yourself, Fantasy Pros. We're good with our starting running backs. I love our wide receivers. So much wide receiver depth. Great at tight end. Quarterback, it's like, all right, we got a top 10 guy in Jordan Love. He was, borderline top 5 last year. Should only get better. And again, we can add somebody else. And then our bench is stacked. Christian Kirk, Deontay Johnson, Brian Robinson, Jerome Ford, Ladd McConkey. To me, this is like a B+ draft. But hey, you know what? Let me know your thoughts. Do you agree, disagree? If you guys enjoyed, hit that like button, subscribe, give us a follow on Twitter at AllDayPigskin to continue interacting with us there. But in the meantime, we'll see you guys in future videos.